Hi, I'm Reagan Blissett, and I'm here with Doris Morgado. Doris, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
So this is kind of like your year. How exciting is that for you?
It's amazing. As an actor, we knock on a lot of doors and we hear a lot of no's. So to finally have that moment of where all my hard work and everything that I've put into this career is finally blossoming. It's such a gift.
Now, that door that you're knocking down, now that is Marvel's newest movie, Logan. Now,
Yes.
How exciting was that for you to be in this role?
It was very exciting. I've been a fan of Marvel Comics for a long time. I have two older brothers, and growing up, we always watched the Marvel cartoons and collected the cards. So when I got the opportunity to come on board, it was a bit of a geek moment because I was so ecstatic. I was like, oh my god, like I grew up watching this. This is amazing.
Now, what character did you resonate most with growing up and watching the X-Men movies?
Well, I would say Storm was the character that I resonated more with. Growing up in my household, we always watched telenovelas, and I remember from a young age there was never any actor that I could relate to that looked like me. And one of those days, my brothers were trading cards with their Marvel characters, and they stumbled upon Storm. And so they're like, oh, it's a girl, here, you can have it. And I remember looking at that card, which I still have, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she looks like me, like I am her. And from that point on, that was always like my favorite character.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was your reaction when you first found out that you'd be in Logan?
It was a bit of everything. It was a lot of jumping, a lot of crying, thanking God. It was just such an overwhelming sensation because, as actors, we at least for myself, I love working.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing what I do, and it's not very often that you get to be a part of a project and at the same time you're equally as much of a fan of it. So it was one of those moments where you just become completely overjoyed and like your whole body just like shuts off because they're like it's too much. I'm way too happy.
Yeah. Now, X-Men are kind of known for their action movies. How was your reaction to playing such an action movie, action figure kind of sense?
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done sports all my life. I've done martial arts, so to be in a movie that has all this action-packed scenes, it's like a kid in a candy store, so to speak. Those are my favorite. I love sci-fi films. I love action films. So to be a part of something like this is just amazing.
So Logan comes out March 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah, so before Logan comes out, you're doing a whole bunch of other projects. Can you tell me a little bit about Misguided Behavior, some of your web series?
Yeah. So Misguided Behavior is actually a film that I helped produce, and it deals with bullying and also gun violence. And I think it was very important to be a part of that project for the simple fact that a lot of kids nowadays are experiencing bullying, and it's unfortunate because the kids who get bullied don't necessarily feel that they have a way to get help. So the film deals with that and also like more deeper things like stuff with family and things like that. So I think that it's going to be great for kids to watch this and have them open their eyes to like trying to get help. And then the web series that you were talking about, it's actually an amazing script. It's one of those scripts, I don't want to give too much away, but it's one of those scripts when I read it, I had to stop and I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I had to go back and like read a couple pages before I was like, oh my god. So I called Stacy, the creator and the director, Stacy Black, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna be a part of this. This is amazing. She wrote that script actually to be a feature and then decided to put it into a web series in the YouTube channel. So very excited about that. it's a real mind bender. So I'm very excited. Like, people are just gonna be left in complete awe.
Now, where can we see this web series at?
Well, it's gonna be on YouTube, and it's under Trouble Creek TV.
Okay, I'll keep a lookout for that. So, where do you think that your love for acting first began?
You know, my dad is a huge movie watcher, and I think from a young age, my parents are divorced, and so on the weekends I would spend time with my dad, and that was our usual things. We would go to the arcades. I would play X-Men in the arcades, and then from that we would go to the movies. And I just remember watching all that, those different characters coming to life, and I have a huge imagination, so it just made sense to me. Like, every time I'd see a movie or I'd get to go home and reenact one of them, it's like my soul would become alive. So I knew from a young age that this was something that I wanted to pursue.
Now, acting wasn't your first choice. You actually got a degree in
Elementary education, yes. So my mom migrated from Venezuela when I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She came with $200 in her pocket. So when I think I was in high school, end of high school, I remember telling her, like, I want to become an actress. And she was like, yeah, that's real nice. No, you're going to get a degree, because I did not come to this country for you to be starving to death. So I love working with kids, and I just found that, okay, if I need to get a degree in something, then I'll get it in my second passion, which is helping children. And so I got that, and then as soon as I got my degree, I told my mom, here's my degree, and now I'm going to go and become an actress.
Now, when was that moment where, like, I'm going to be an actress? What was that moment that struck you?
It was interesting enough. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I had just moved there right from graduating, and so I had to revalidate my teaching degree because it was a different state. But when I moved, it was in the summer. So a friend of mine owned a car magazine company and asked me if I could help him out just for a couple of hours, take some pictures of some cars because he couldn't make it or whatnot. And I ran into a car salesman who was actually an actor, an aspiring actor. And we started talking, and I just told him, I was like, wow, I admire you, like how lucky you are to be an actor. And he's just like, well, you can do it too. And I was like, well, no, you're supposed to start when you're 5 or 6, right? He's like, no, people can do it at any age. So he gave me contact information for different acting schools in Atlanta, and that's kind of how it all spiraled down.
Yeah. It spiraled upwards, actually.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, spiraled upwards. That's correct. Yes.
Now, so since you got into this industry, what has been one of the most important life lessons that you've learned?
I think the biggest life lesson that I've learned is the importance of believing in yourself, and with that will come your ability to be persistent. I know when I first started, there was always doubts on whether I was doing the right thing, whether I should stay with it, and once I found my worth and my belief in myself, then everything just kind of became easier. It became easier to be persistent, and it became easier to have that determination, because I knew that I was meant to do this, and I knew that there was more to come. So everything else kind of just felt like, well, this is what you have to do because you're meant to do it.
Now, when you get into character, do you have any personal ways of how do you get into your character? How do you become it? Is there any ways that you do it?
Yeah. So there's different techniques that I've learned throughout the years. For me, because I have such a big imagination, I usually use that to my advantage by creating that life. Like if it really happened to me, and it's interesting. Once you do that, once you've created that image and that life in your head, your heart doesn't know the difference, and all of a sudden you're in there, and your brother, your dog just died, and it's real, and your heart is just it's crying, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't know I lost my dog. And it's like, no, you don't have a dog, but calm down. But it's that kind of thing where it's helped me to relate to that, and I think also my compassion for other people. It's very easy for me to watch the news, and I try not to a lot because it affects me that way, but to watch the news or hear about a story, and automatically in my head it's just a picture that's being played and it's a movie, and I can't help it, but I'm being told these stories and I'm creating it in my head, and all of a sudden my head is living it, and so my heart gets compromised in the process, and I think that's also helped as well.
Develop your character.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, how do you, so you've worked with some pretty established actors,
Yes.
Denzel Washington, Mark Wahlberg. Now, how did you learn how to compose yourself and just step up to the plate just like they were doing?
I think what helped me was my first acting coach is his what's the word that I'm looking for? His advice for me, and his advice for me was, if you're not on set, you need to be in acting class. And I think that made all the difference for me. It was so important because I was ready. Not to say obviously I wasn't nervous when I got on set, because these were men actors that I grew up watching and thinking like how amazing they were, and so to be on set with them was obviously a bit terrifying, but I knew that even though I was nervous, I knew that they had started where I had started, and I knew that my professionalism and my talent and everything that I had invested in it would come out and shine at the end of the day, so that kind of put me at ease.
No, that's great. So, okay, what do you see yourself doing in the future? Like your dream role?
My dream role, definitely being in an action film. I love action movies. I love that kick-ass woman who's like kicks down a door and like takes out 5 bad guys and like saves the day. I love that. So that's definitely my next step and my next goal. I'm working out 6 days a week just to make sure that when that moment comes, my body's ready, my mind's ready, my talent's there, so that I can knock it out of the park.
Well, you're definitely going to knock it out of the park, especially on March 3rd when Logan is premiered. Thank you so much, Doris.
Thank you, Megan.